Hi, this is Ina from Taproot Tarot, and I'm not going to do a full deck video here. I just have a really funny story to share with you. This is the Marseille Sophistiqué from 3 Point Comics, and Diane from Indigo Moon Woman has been featuring it both on Instagram in her daily draws, and she also featured it in one of her deck collection videos, which I will link in the comments. It had already been in my wish list, and it's pretty affordable, so I went ahead and ordered it. And the really interesting thing about this deck, this is their only tarot deck. They are a game and comic company, but it comes with rules of the game, which is kind of neat. You don't see that very often. So that's a side bonus. They have a Square site. It's 3 Point Comics. It's affordable. It's really easy to look up. But the reason I'm telling you about it is that I had mentioned to Diane that I had ordered the deck because I've been seeing it on her site and it's so pretty. But the funny thing about this deck, I'm just going to do a quick flip through. I'll slow it down. Oh, here's the funny thing about this. You can get a happy squirrel to go with it.
Oh, that's cute. A happy squirrel. That's bad.
Now, this is sold separately. You have to add it, and I didn't notice that. So they were really kind and let me send them the extra $3 via Venmo to add it after the fact. So he's super cute. But in Diane's video, she mentioned he looks more like an angry squirrel. And I see what she's saying. He does have definitely a devilish look. He looks like he's up to something for sure, which is true of most squirrels, if we're being honest. And so in the comments of that video, Diane, Marie, France, and I were kind of joking about him being the angry squirrel rather than the happy squirrel. So then I just received it, and I noticed that they have it, his title is in French. And I thought, well, it probably says happy squirrel, but I had to do an image search and translate it to be sure, because you never know, they could have put a hidden joke in there for those of us who don't speak French. But the thing is, it is a fairly historic deck. And so they, the old woodblock printing, it was easier for them to use J's instead of I's instead of J's, and V's instead of U's. So you can see there are several V's in here. So Google Translate did not know what this meant. And so I had to start replacing the V's with U's. But since I don't know French, I wasn't positive that all of these were supposed to be U's. So I kind of just did one at a time to see what would happen. And as you can see here, that I did get it translated, and it does in fact mean happy squirrel. But the super funny thing is that this was the last V that I didn't translate, or that I didn't change to a U. Let me get this one right here. And right before I changed that to a U, I got this instead. And I have no idea why, because that is not a word. In French, as far as I can tell, it doesn't actually mean hOrRiD. But I think it's so funny that it says the hOrRiD squirrel after we had just been calling him the angry squirrel. It does make a suggestion like, did you mean Hebrew? And I checked, and luckily Google Translate does not translate the French word Hebrew into hOrRiD, so thank goodness for that. So I have no idea why it says hOrRiD. That's not how you say hOrRiD as far as I can tell. Marie France, if you have an idea of why it says this, let me know. But I'm so glad I grabbed a screenshot, because I've tried making adjustments and recreating it and it won't happen. So, but because of that, from here on out, I will be referring to this guy as the hOrRiD squirrel, which I think really lines up with his origins. So I'm happy with that. But let me just this is a really pretty deck, and I'll just do kind of a casual flip through for you. And I want to apologize in advance, because I am not good at deck reviews. And if we're being perfectly honest, I don't plan on getting good at it, because that's not my focus for this channel. So if I show you a deck and I miss something that you want to know about the deck, please don't hesitate to ask me in the comments. I do not mind at all. Actually, I love comments, and you're not bothering me. So please ask any questions and I will answer to the best of my ability. I may not know, I don't know anything about cardstock or supply. I'm not going to link, sources for decks or anything like that, because like I said, that's not the focus of my channel, and that's a lot of extra work. So if the deck reviewers that you love are doing that stuff, man, tip them or use their purchase links or whatever you can do to support their channels, because that is a lot of work. But for me, this is just something that I do for fun, and I love sharing decks with you, and I love talking about tarot history and philosophy and art. And so that's kind of the focus when I share a deck, and not so much promotion. But I love questions, so do let me know if you want to know anything additional about the decks, if I miss anything. And also, questions or comments about the content too are most welcome. A lot of what I'm talking about is not set in stone, or it's very vague. The history of tarot is super vague. So there's a lot of viewpoints out there, and I love to hear about all of them. So even if you disagree with me, or if you have a question that you want clarification on, please let me know in the comments, because I love the opportunity to nerd out even more about tarot. So bring it on. I wanted to let you know too that I have a couple of playlists that I added. I've gotten a lot of questions on how to learn Marseille. And I randomly find these really cool tarot history videos that I sometimes share in posts. But I wanted to kind of keep them all in one place. So I have a couple of playlists that are from other channels. And at this point, I don't have tarot learning resources available that I've created yet. But there's a lot of good content out there. So when I come across something helpful, I'll just put it in that playlist. So check it out. There's a couple. There's one tarot history and one tarot reading. And there's a lot of different ways to read Marseille. So if I post a video that doesn't necessarily represent my style of reading, which I'm sure will change over time anyway, but I wanted to make sure I had a variety so that there would be something for everyone. There's also opinions that are shared that are definitely not my own, but I find them thought-provoking. So I don't necessarily agree with everything in those videos I've shared, but they are definitely worth checking out if you have questions. I do have some new content coming up. My work schedule is actually going to lighten up next month in May. And you may have seen me mention in comments and in videos that all these plans I have for new content. So far, all the videos that I have posted have required zero preparation, no notes or anything. It's just been off the top of my head, and it's really fun. But I do have some ideas for good educational content that will require a little more organization and preparation, and I'm really excited for that, and I think starting next month I'll have more time for that. The one exception is my one reading video. I scribbled down a few notes for that because it was about a past reading. It's probably my most awkward video though, because it is so vulnerable for me at least, to share about readings. I'm totally comfortable just pontificating about philosophy and history and art and stuff like that. But sharing something more personal like a reading, even if it's not about a personal subject matter, it's just more of a more personal opinion, or personal thoughts and intuition. And that's really vulnerable for me. I'm really pleased with the progress I've been making in my reading skills. But I'm not at a place where I'm super confident reading on camera yet. So in the future, I do plan to have more actual tarot reading content. And so I just wanted you to know that this isn't just going to be a channel about talking about tarot, even as awesome and fun as that is, and I love it. I'm not going to stop. But I do want to also have some more reading content as I build my confidence. And I don't mean, you know, like necessarily doing readings, but I mean, you know, talking about how we do readings and how that affects our minds and our intuition, things like that. So I do have plans for the future of this channel. Like I've mentioned before, this is a hobby for me. It's something I'm doing for fun and to build my skills recording and being on camera for different projects that are totally unrelated to tarot in my professional life. So it's kind of a side bonus here. But that's the plan. And I really appreciate you all checking out my channel and being interested in what I have to say. I've had all these thoughts rattling around in my head about tarot. I absolutely love studying it. And I really love sharing. And I've really enjoyed meeting a lot of folks. So I will just quickly walk you through the rest of this deck. It's super pretty, isn't it? Look at these fish. And again, this is 3 Point Comics. They have a Square site. And if you want the I should say the hOrRiD squirrel card, make sure you add that in your cart because it does come separately. It's really pretty art though, love it. It is standard tarot size. I did measure this time. It's 7 centimeters by 12 centimeters or 2.75 by 4.75 inches. It's kind of thick and stiff, but it's linen. And the art is just gorgeous. And it comes with tarot playing instructions. How cool is that? I still think it's a super complicated game and probably not one that I could wrap my head around, but I'm gonna check out the instructions just to see what I can find out and see if that gives me any insights. I already do order my cards in the order of the trumps. So which ones are stronger in the game. Now I'm sure that changes depending on what region you're in and which rules you're following. But that's where I get the order that I use for my cards. So yeah, pretty cool. Thank you so much for watching. I sure do appreciate it, and you have a good one. See you next time.